The documentary you're about to see was completed as a class project by the students of the Creative Arts Corner at the Bedford Hope Center in the Hill District. The CAC program teaches us how to use multimedia equipment and provides a much-needed creative outlet in our community by giving us the chance to work on our own music and video projects. Working with the topic of music, we discussed the changes that have taken place within music at a national and local level, as well as what it takes to succeed as an artist in today's world. The following students participated in making this documentary. We would like to thank the following people for their time and for allowing us to interview them.
Man. Shout out to the whole Pittsburgh, man. HI stand up, man. Real rap diamonds. You know what I mean? I'm running, trying to touch the sky. Hands open and I need so high.
It's all about expressing yourself in today's life. You gotta express yourself. You can't be a rapper unless you express yourself.
I never even thought about, like, what if I did blow up? Like, now this, I'm just doing this because I like it. You know what I mean? And I feel like I'm just telling stories. I mean,
everybody should listen.
For people who
came from where we came from.
Yeah, basically.
I don't think I can go one. I don't think I've ever went one day without listening to music. I think I tried it once and I didn't like it.
I can't do it. I need an iPod or everything. I need something like music, like keeps my day going.
When you really pay attention to what hip hop is, you grow. Like hip hop comes from the heart. Like you can't just look up and I want to be a rapper. You gotta bleed hip hop. Like,
and as long as you know that you're shooting for a goal that you're interested in, and you see progress into what you're doing, and you're able to share that with some of the other musicians or entertainers, and you do it from the heart, not for any money gain or any hand clap. You do it from the heart.
For the love of music.
For the love of music and the love of humanity. You're trying to help your friend grow in the music with you.
And we had nightclubs all over the hill. In every bar, there was live entertainment. We had 4 theaters, 4 supermarkets, and numerous of restaurants. Everything was so beautiful.
The Hill District is just part of a quarter of entertainment, which includes, of course, the Civic Arena, which included, of course, the old Stanley Theater, and included places like Heaven, places like Graffiti, and they were all within maybe 2.5, 3 miles of each other. Graffiti was down lower part of the Oakland Quarter. I ran groups there for 5 years. I brought in groups like Stanley Clarke, Hiroshima, War, Morris Day.
And when we went to a show, the shows wasn't $120, $150. Show then was like $15, and we saw 5 or 6 stars.
The Hill District changed quite a bit in my lifetime. When I mentioned before, we had a lot more places to go to in my lifetime for jazz, and now there's not that many places. There's not that much jazz, period.
We had about 12 bars on the hill or more, and every one of the bars had live entertainment.
There's a couple that I didn't play at that were around before my time, and that was the Hurricane, Crawford Grill. I've played there. Those 2 were on the hill, and then there was a couple places in Garfield like the Tiger Club. It's no longer there. The Crawford Grill it's there, but it's not open. The Hurricane is no longer there.
Well, the Crawford Grill right down here, they had, before they closed up, they had a nice jazz quartet down there, quintet. Now the place is closed down.
The balcony in Shady Side is no longer there. Clearview was in Shadyside. It's no longer there. And these are places that were there just maybe 10 years ago that are no longer there.
I think the shift of the record business and the entertainment business has shifted, and it reflected when the Stanley Theater was closed. It reflected when the arena wasn't doing 3 or 4 shows a month, maybe once every 2 months for R&B, maybe once every 4 or 5 months for jazz, because the jazz demographic changed too. And the Hill District started to change when, of course, the old places died, the Hurricane, the Crawford Grill, and those places, which were a breeding ground for younger musicians, whether they were in jazz or R&B. So I think the whole demographic has changed with the invention of the information superhighway, as well as the genre changing into more progressive forms of music like rap. So these venues are important, I think, for kids launching their careers. And when you don't have them, then it's a problem, because you can make product, but where are you going to launch it? You know, and that's the problem. I think having less venues to deal with in Pittsburgh cut a lot of opportunities for artists to be showcased.
I was joking with my nephew years ago, when you would go to the music store, there would be a large section of jazz, and you can go and look and pick out a jazz album. Back then there were albums. Now you go to the music store, and the section, there's a very small section of jazz and a large section of rap. So that's a big change right there.
And Pittsburgh artists are too busy trying to sound like guys in LA, guys in New York, as opposed to just carving their own niche and creating the Pittsburgh sound. It used to be the Pittsburgh sound when George Benson was here, Billy Eckstine. In jazz, we had the Pittsburgh sound. James Moody, there I go, there I go. You know what I mean? All that stuff was penned and composed here. So people wanted the Pittsburgh sound. That's why they wanted to sound like Billy Eckstine, Ahmad Jamal. They wanted to sound like Earl Father Hines, Mary Lou Williams, Earl Garner. People wanted to sound like them. And so they copied the Pittsburgh sound. That's why they were so successful. But now it's an obtuse opposite now. You have young Pittsburgh guys wanting to sound like LA and sound like New York. When in my day, everybody wanted to sound like George Benson and Mary Lou Williams. And that's why Miles Davis was coming here to play. That's why Max Roach was coming here to play at the Crawford Grill, because everyone wanted to capture that Pittsburgh sound. So now I think it's in reverse. I think that if Pittsburghers go ahead and do some things for George Benson before he dies, you know, do some things for Ahmad Jamal, who is a former Pittsburgher now living in Chicago. They changed the musical landscape. George still claims Pittsburgh as his home. He's proud of being from Pittsburgh, and he lets the whole world know. And I think this is what these young artists have to do. They have to develop a sound and say, hey, we're from Pittsburgh. This is our sound. And I think once they do that and show that artistic confidence in themselves, I think the nation and the world will grasp on to the new Pittsburgh sound, whether it's in hip-hop or whatever other genre of music.
Everybody tell you all the old music is the best music.
Trying to compare the music today with the music of my day 50 years ago is no comparison.
In my generation, the music was more, a lot of instrumentation was being played back then, as opposed to now where the music's been, I won't say watered down, but the instruments aren't as played as much.
Our music was talking with harmony. We had harmony.
Nowadays you have just the beat or parts of the music, and the entertainers are rapping or singing over just the beat, whereas before it was a lot more music involved.
Do you think that there are a lot of kids now in our time, our generation, that knows how to play like music, that naturally knows how to play an instrument, if that's opposed to just getting something off the internet like a beat or something, you know? Well,
yeah, there's still a lot of kids that play instruments. The ones that just get the beat, they're the ones that just choose to do that. But there are a lot of kids that are still, if you look at the different bands in the schools and the different colleges where you see kids are playing on the football field and they're playing instruments, the instruments are still being played.
The quartets, they all had showmanship. They called it showmanship in them days. And I think, I don't know if they still do that or not, showmanship. But it was a rhythm in everything. Rhythm in when you eat. It just had rhythm, rhythm, rhythm.
When you mention jazz being influential, it still is in almost every style of the music.
I drew from big band, and like I drew from other forms of music that were popular in the 30s and 40s. Then we drew from that in the 60s and 70s, and the guys in the 70s and 80s, LL Cool J, one of them drew from that. And now you have the guys drawing from the late 90s and sampling stuff from the 60s. So the only difference is we didn't plagiarize. If we use someone's song, we said, you know what, this is such and such a song written by such and so BMI. Now they'll steal 4 or 5 notes and they'll sample it and they'll say, oh wow, this is my song. Well,
you can tell who's recycling flows from who and what time frame it was, because some of the stuff that you hear now, you hear, oh, I heard that. My mom was playing me that a couple of them saying.
Well, they have hip hop, rap. I don't know the difference. They got chronicle, something. I don't know. I don't know all the different terminology.
Today is auto-tune. Next day it's something else. Like, and it's way better than auto-tunes, and everybody's on the bandwagon. So you really don't know what hip hop is. You really don't know where the direction is going to go, but you know where it's going to go. It's going
you don't know when it's going to change.
Yeah.
The guys, you know, in my day, you had to be real metaphoric. Now, you had to have punchlines on top of punchlines. Nowadays, you could be an ABC rapper. You could just about say anything you want.
If you just look around, like music-wise, everybody is, it's just all about money. Like
nowadays, we talk about girls, like we really know a lot about them. We talk about clothes, like we talk about all kinds of things. Back in the day, like with my man Levi, they used to talk about just one thing, like they man was selling one thing, and I was rapping and getting money.
I think it was a big change in Lil Wayne's career, because he started dressing like a rock star.
Like ever since Lil Wayne made that rock song or whatever, Lollipop and all that kind of stuff, people just start listening to it, and it just made the effect of everybody else liking hip-hop then rocking all that kind of stuff.
Times and things don't change that much because we more or less do things over and over again. Because the way the kids wearing their pants down real low, we did the same thing.
These days, they do not be having enough clothes on.
Nicki Minaj came out, everybody want to be a Barbie doll.
Everybody want to be a Barbie doll, yeah.
Everybody want to be a Barbie doll.
Rocket you.
And I think a lady should be covered, you know, not showing everything. And that's just me.
Everybody want to be Gucci, man.
Yeah, I mean, no, everybody swag, the mohawks and stuff.
That's cool.
Mohawks.
That's really 80s fad. Skinny jeans, mohawks, chains and all that. That's really an 80s fad.
The hairstyles is the same. They call the hair, they just give it a different name, but the hairstyles are the same.
Yeah, they just bringing a whole lot of old school stuff and just bringing it back. Even fades is coming back too. I be seeing a lot of people with fades. I'm like, whoa, like for real.
I think it changed with the dancing, because nowadays, like Soulja Boy came out with the little stepping in the dancing. Now everybody dancing and making party songs.
Soulja Boy was one of the first ones. Like he's the youngest. Like he was known off the internet, but like he made his own impact. Like as far as shoes and clothes go,
Yeah.
So he made his own clothing line. So that he kind of took that and ran with it.
Okay.
People started buying it, and he just did his own thing.
Yeah, and he came up
He's
off
different
it too.
from everybody else.
We more or less like did our own thing, just like the kids doing today, and it's very beautiful.